Good morning, church. It's so good to be with you here again on our beautiful long weekend. Really looking forward to having a day off tomorrow, as I'm sure all of you are. It's so good seeing in the comments people chatting away and talking about how they're going. So who are you watching with? Let us know. It's really cool. You know, I can see Ash, I can see Troy was there, Danielle, Monique, the Frenches, a whole bunch of people, and it's really cool just to see you guys chatting away. But it's exciting to be here this morning. Like I said, let us know who you're watching with. With the opening and the relaxing of the restrictions, it means that we can actually invite people over and do a little bit of life together. And so it's really cool to be a church family. And the other thing is, with the opening of the restrictions, who can you actually invite? Like, are there people in your life that you can that are maybe from church or not even from church that you can say, hey, why don't you come over and check out what we do as church now and be involved in that? And it's a really cool way to maybe introduce people to faith and Christianity and what church looks like if you haven't done that before. You might have seen in our countdown video, there was some text there saying about communion. And so this morning we're going to be doing communion. And if you don't know what that is A-OK. I'm going to be explaining it to you. But let me give you a really quick rundown. Basically, we use a drink, juice normally, but it could be whatever. You could have some beer if you want this time in the morning, and something to eat, so some bread or some crackers or some chips or I don't know, Cocoa Pops, whatever you want to do. But we use elements of a drink and something to eat to remind us of what Jesus did. And so we'll get to that later on in the service. But so if you want to join in, quickly run and find some stuff before we get to that. I just wanted to remind you of that before we got going. Like all of you probably seen, the restrictions have been lifted earlier for us in Tassie, which is really exciting. And it's meant that the way that we can spend our time has now changed. And so this morning, we're going to actually spend most of our day talking about them time changes and what that means for us. And this week, we had an awesome team follow me around and film what actually we do spend our time on.
It sometimes feels like we don't have enough time for what's important in life. But how do we actually spend our time? Over an average lifetime, a person will spend 26 years sleeping, 10 years working, and 7 years and 6 months eating. We spend 8.3 years in front of the TV, and that's if you can even find something to watch. Not to mention 7.7 years on social media, and 92 days on the toilet. The average person will spend 4 years and 11 months worrying, and 5 months of their life complaining, but only 3 years in places other than their home. Women spend 136 days getting ready, whilst men only 46. And we only spend 27 days being romantic. 18 months in an average lifetime are spent waiting in line, and 6 months at red lights. But only 368 days socialising and 115 days laughing. We all have 24 hours in a day, so how are you choosing to spend yours?
It's really interesting to think about how we actually do spend our time, and a lot of the times we do all these things without realising that they are chewing up a significant amount of our time, which leads me perfectly to what the only basically initiative that we've been able to consistently do throughout the COVID time is taking 10 minutes a day to pray. And we still really want to be encouraging you guys as a church to just carve out a little bit of time in our day just to make sure that we are praying and we're connecting with God. It is one of the most simple concepts of being a Christian, but also, I think, it is one of the most profound things that we can do to strengthen our faith, to stay connected with God, and to really just have a positive outlook on life despite what's going on in the surroundings, because it can feel really, really scary with what's going on. But if you have prayer requests, I want to encourage you this morning to head over to our website at some stage. Maybe you can do it later on, or even now if you've got a separate device. If you go to our website, you can enter in your prayer requests. It will get submitted to the leadership, and people will be praying for you, and they'll respond back with a prayer. And it's so important to let people in when we have real specific prayer needs. And also what you can do on the website is that you can give. We as a church have still been obviously running the facility here, but also just trying to connect with our community and all sorts of other things. And so we encourage you guys as the body of Christ, as the church family, to still be giving. And it's been really encouraging to see that a lot of us have. So well done to you, church, but that can be done on our website. Today we have a really exciting thing happening actually. Later on, towards the end of the service, you will all be sent a text message with a link, and that link will take you to our website where we're doing a survey. And so we see that the restrictions are lifting and lots of stuff's changing, but we want to know what you guys, the church, the community, want to see happen. We don't want to just mindlessly walk into these next things as the curfews and stuff lift, but we want to partner with you guys and hear your voice, hear your heart, and work together in coming back to church and that sort of stuff. So please fill out the survey, please join in, please give us feedback, because we don't want to be making all the decisions blind. We want to do it with you guys. And so you'll be sent a text, there'll be a link, there's a link right there now, and so it'd be awesome if you guys could do that. Hey, we're going to pause and pray, and then we're going to get into our wins and struggles, and so you have some time to reflect, and you can jot them down in the comments. But let's pray first. God, we just thank you that you are good. We thank you that you are in control of all these crazy things that are going on in our life and around the world. And we just pray that as a church, we would really lean into you, God. We would really seek your wisdom, and we would find it. And God, I pray that you would be with us today, that we would learn about how we should spend our time. And we've got all these things that we could do, God, but we want to know what we should be doing. And so, God, we pray today that you would speak to us, that you'd reveal your heart to us, and that we would know that you're for us and that you love us. Amen. Hey, let's take a moment to talk about our wins and struggles with whoever you might be with, or just reflect on them. And it'd be cool to see some of them jotted down in the chat. I know I say it every week, but it is so important that we do engage with the conversation about what's good in life and what we're struggling with, the wins and the struggles. And it's great to see some in the comments. Jot them down if you can. Jazz, how awesome to see that you got to talk with Jeanette. It's so great to see some nice photos of her, and we're praying and believing for a miracle in her life. But that's super positive. Sucks about Troy's hip. Monique, how good that your husband's got his P's. That is great. Ben, sucked in that you didn't win trivia. My team won, so that's all that really matters. No, we had such a great time. If you didn't know, church, on Wednesday, our young adults did a live trivia game, so that was really fun. What's Dickie saying? I don't know. Put some on the hip. Win. Ruth, nephew's wife had a baby boy. Wow. Yay. Congratulations. Some more babies. That's super exciting. We're loving seeing them, guys. But good on you. Hey, we're going to go into a time of worship this morning. And I know it's so different worshiping at home than what it is at church. But the fundamental thing is still the same. It's just a time where we can reflect, where we can ponder, where we can pray, and we can be with God. So we're gonna listen to one song, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about our communion, and then we're gonna have another song for that. So why don't you find a spot to worship?
I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. And there's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better
God can turn our pain into dancing. What a beautiful line. And I'm not a very good dancer, but I certainly don't want to live in pain, which, it really does lean us so super well into our time of communion. And if you haven't grabbed something to drink and something to eat, I encourage you quickly run and grab that. And I just wanted this morning quickly just give a little bit of time, a little bit of space to talk about what communion is. And if you've been around church for a long time, you might see communion as sort of something that's a little bit religious, or like something that we just do and you don't give it too much thought. But communion is really one of the biggest, I suppose, fundamentals of Christianity, because what it is at the core is a reminder of what salvation is all about. At the core, it's a reminder to us of what Jesus did on the cross, that his body, the bread, was broken. It was broken that so we could be whole. And his blood was shed, and it was shed so that we can experience forgiveness and we can have relationship with him. And so I know it can be seen as a religious moment, but I want to encourage you this morning to see it as the beautiful thing that it is, as a reminder to us that Jesus loves you, that Jesus cares about you. And it doesn't matter whether you've been in church your whole entire life, or this is the very first church service that you've linked into live. He loves you. He cares about you. He died on the cross so that we can be in relationship with him. And communion is simply a reminder of that. So I encourage you, as we go into this next song, to take the bread or the Skittles or the popcorn or whatever it is, to take that and eat it. And just remember that it's the body of Christ, that it's a reminder of the body of Christ, that he loves you. And take the juice, the water, the beer, I don't care what it is, but take that and drink it and know that his blood was shed so that you could be covered, so that you could come into relationship with him. And so this morning, I encourage you to reflect on his goodness as we listen to this next song.
In the darkness, we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes, to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three stones moved for good, for the Lamb and conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of all shall not live and shall not fade. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. Through the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. We're singing praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. Oh God of glory, majesty, oh praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings.
Hey kids, Marika here. Thank you so much for joining us at Kids Rock Live. I hope you've had a great week. Today we are talking all about time. So imagine that this jar is your day, okay? So we all get 24 hours in a day, don't we? We all get the same amount of time, and how we spend that time actually affects how we grow. So if we want to be, if we want to be more like Jesus, if we want to be healthy or have good relationships, we've actually got to make sure we have time for some important things, don't we? But often what happens is we fill up our days, we spend our time on some stuff that is maybe less important than those important things, right? So that could be maybe spending a little bit too long on the Xbox or the PlayStation, could be worrying, it could be spending too much time alone, it could be, I don't know, annoying your siblings. That's something that my brother likes to do. It could be, for me, I spend too much time reading. I love reading, spend too much time on it though. So, there are these things that we fill our lives with. Oh, I've spilt it. Right? And then gets to the end of the day and we haven't actually had any time for the important things, have we? So things like, spending time with Jesus, reading our Bible, praying, our schoolwork, friends and family, it all doesn't fit, does it? Like that lid's, it's not going to go on, is it? But there is a way to make this all fit, all right? And it's called prioritizing. So I'm going to show you. I've got a new day, a new jar, all right? And what I'm going to do is we're going to prioritize the important things, all right? So we're going to make sure that I'm spending time with Jesus. I'm going to make sure that I'm spending time with family. I'm reading my Bible, praying. What else was there? Schoolwork. Make sure you do your homework, guys. And yeah, whatever else, those important things in life, we'll make sure that we get those in first, right? And look at that. We've still got plenty of room for all the other stuff, So you can spend a little bit more time on the Xbox, maybe. You can spend some time, I don't know, what else, outside at the park. For me, I like to read, so I'm going to spend, look at that, that's a lot of time reading right there. So, we can fill up our lives, the rest of our day with all those other things. What else? I don't know. Yeah, more time reading, maybe going for a walk, playing with the dog, all sorts of things we can do. And look at that. It all fits because we prioritized and we got the important things in first. Let's just get those last little bits because, why not? Fill up our day. So look at that. It all fits in the jar and the lid goes on. So by prioritizing those most important things, we actually had heaps of time for the other things that we enjoy doing. So how about you? Are you making time for those important things in your day? Are you prioritizing those important things? Why don't you have a chat about it at home, have a think about it, maybe think about what you can do this week to prioritize some things. But right now, we're going to hear an incredible message from Pastor Louisa.
Good morning. I'm really excited to share a message with you today about the gift that we've received in this season. We have been given this astronomical gift of time, and with the restrictions being lifted, we get to decide how we're going to spend our time. I know for me, it's kind of brought some mixed emotions. I've been fearful, I guess, that I'm not going to get this right, and have been saying to myself, I don't want to go back. And what don't I want to go back to? I don't want to go back to being so busy and so time poor that I don't get to do the things that I value. And so for some of us, pre-corona, we feel like we were in this vortex where everything was getting decided for us in an emotional overload and a time overload with all these long have-to-do lists. And how have you been feeling in this season? What's the experience been like for you? Have you felt the excitement, but maybe a little bit of anxiousness about the restrictions being lifted and the decisions or choices being given to you, how you're going to spend your time? Are you going to have friends over every night of the week? Are you going to engage in all these extra activities as we get opportunity to do them and participate in them? There's so much choice for us, and I believe God has something to say to us today about how to spend our time, how to invest our time in the choices that we make around that. So an interesting thing I find with time, it's the greatest resource that we have, and it's much like money. We get the resource of money to spend, but time we never get back. It's such a precious gift that we can never go back to yesterday and get it again. Once we've spent it, it's gone. It's in the archives. It's maybe in the diary, but it's experienced, and we can't go and relive one day of our life, let alone an hour or a minute that we've already experienced. Time each day is given to us, and everybody gets the same amount. Whether you're rich or poor, whether you're old or young, it doesn't matter what nationality you hold. It doesn't matter what intelligence or degree you hold. It doesn't matter. We all get 24 hours a day, 168 hours a week, and it's indiscriminatory. We all get the same. So for me, it's been an interesting journey thinking about time and how I'm going to spend my time in this new season and enjoy the gift that's been given to me, but also be wise about it. And I've been thinking about this, that our time actually requires a budget. Do you have a budget for your money? We can also have a budget for our time. And I was thinking about when John and me, both were married, it was easy. We had 2 incomes. And then along came our first son, Ben, and I didn't have an income anymore, and we were on one wage. And we were getting ourselves into financial difficulty. I was still spending too much money, like we had 2 wages, and we were getting in trouble. And we had to budget, and we tried all these different things. We got out the credit card. One of our schemes was we put it in a block of ice and in water, and froze it in the fridge, and so that we wouldn't use our credit card. But you can defrost ice, of course, and we would take it out when we needed it. Another thing which we did was we just literally got out the scissors one day and cut up the credit card so that we couldn't use it. And I was blaming all these things that I was spending money on and all these enticements, and I wanted this and I needed this stuff. But I had to come to the conclusion that the problem wasn't our credit card, the problem was me. And I was making choices of where to spend our money, and I was making choices to overspend money that we didn't have. So God says a similar thing in Luke, and we're going to read that story today. It's Luke chapter 14, and just a couple of short verses, verse 28 to 30. It says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundations and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, 'This person began to build and wasn't able to finish.'" Such a short little story. And I think it not only applies to our money and where we spend it, but it applies to our life and how we spend or allocate our time. So there's a few short principles that we can learn from this passage. It probably takes a bit more effort to actually put them into practice. But some of the key things: the guy's going to build a tower. He's going to sit down, he's going to estimate what it costs, and then he's actually going to go and build the tower. And then friends and people around him have something to say about whether he actually finishes it off. So for us, when it comes to spending our time, it's really important, first of all, that we decide on the tower that we want to build. Really, we decide on the life we want to live, on the legacy we want to leave. We decide what we want our life to be known for. So I would call this, we need to sit down, we need to dream and decide. We need to dream and decide what we want our life to be known for. And so if we've got some dreams around marriage, what kind of marriage we'd like to have, or dreams around our parenting or family style, if we have some musical dreams or some artistic dreams, or to write a book, or to get a certain job, or live in a certain location, or have a certain holiday, we need to dream and decide what we want our life to look like, what we want to be known for. For me, I had an experience of that when somebody said to me once, "What would you like to be on your tombstone?" And I actually have drawn a tombstone on my stand of my computer on my desk, and it says something that I aspire to, I want to be known for at the end of my life, the legacy I want to live. So that's like my tower, that's like my legacy. And I have dreamt about it, continue to dream about it, and I've decided that's what I want in life. But just deciding, just having written that on my little stand doesn't actually achieve the goal. The second thing in this story, it talks about the guy sits down and he estimates, he works out how much it's going to cost. And so if we have a dream or a desire to leave a legacy or to be known for a certain thing, if we desire to have a certain kind of marriage or life, or to be known, that we're a loving or a kind person, or a person that listens or interacts or is present to life, if we have dreams for that, to live that kind of life, we need to actually sit down and set some goals, set some realistic expectations about how we're going to do that. Habakkuk 2 verse 2 says this: "Write down the vision, make it clear so that you can run with it." Unless we write it down, unless we have a plan how we're going to spend our time to get where we want to go, it won't happen. So I've just started this funny little thing, you might say. It's called time expenses. And I've written down here some of the things that, are just not optional. I used to think sleeping was an option, but, we don't function very well without enough sleep. And some of the things, I need to set aside time just even to go to the grocery store. It probably takes me 2 hours a week, and I need to set aside time to do some household chores. And so there's some not negotiables in it. I had a little bit of fun, I must confess. I thought I had all this spare time, but I'd actually got my maths wrong. I thought there was 186 hours in a week, but it's 168. I'd swapped the 6 and the 8, so get the hours right. So I have only 168 hours to spend in my week, just like you. You have exactly the same amount. And we can sit down and we can set where we want to spend those hours. The third thing is you actually have to go out and do it. You have to practice it. You have to take responsibility, and you have to action it in your life. You have to apply where you want to allocate that time. So for me, I like of a bit of a routine in the morning to have a 2-hour ritual of, getting dressed, sitting, reading the Bible and having time with God. But unless I set my alarm and I make time for that, it doesn't happen. So for me, part of my budget is spending that time in the morning, and it helps setting an alarm to make that happen. So, I get to practice that. But probably the fourth part of it is really important as well. Not only practicing it, but actually making yourself accountable. Letting in some friends, letting in some family on what your goals are, what your dreams are, how you've set a plan and how you're practicing it, how you're going with that. And, with accountability, it actually takes us being responsible, but also admitting, hey, I'm struggling here, or hey, I was a bit overzealous with that, thinking that I could spend that much time on that. I need to make some adjustments. So I believe that we have uniquely been given a gift in this season where some of the things on our calendars have been stripped away, and we are going to be given this choice, how we're going to spend the time. And if we don't intentionally dream and decide, sit and set some goals, practice what we really want, and then keep ourselves accountable and admit where we're going off track, we're going to end up with the same busyness and living in the same vortex of having our lives be time poor and maybe not achieving the goals and the things that we value most in life. So I want to say to you today that you have been given a unique gift in history that perhaps we won't get to the same degree again, but you've been given this gift of reassessing how you're going to spend your time, how you're going to allocate your time, and what you're going to invest in. Imagine your life where you have given voice to some of those dreams and you have decided this is important to me, and you've sat down and you've set some goals, how you're going to spend your time, how much you're going to do on extracurricular activities, how much time you're going to spend, say, watching movies, and how much time you're going to allow yourself to, flick through social media, how much time you're going to limit yourself doing housework maybe so that, you're not consumed with that, how much time you're going to spend eating and on meal prep and those sorts of things. But also for investing in your life. Maybe you want to have a good marriage, so you've got to put some investment and some time in that. Maybe you want to have great friendships. You've got to look at your time and think about, where can I choose on purpose to set some time aside to spend with friends. So imagine in this season, you grab hold of the gift that has been given to you, a calendar that has been stripped back, the gift that we've always had, but maybe not quite realised, of 168 hours, and you sit down and you set out a plan and you decide how you're going to spend it. And then you go about practicing it, keeping yourself accountable, admitting when you go off track, and then going back through those steps. Imagine your life where you are making progress towards how you want to be known, what you want your life to be known for, and that you have a plan how to spend your time. So we're coming to a time of reflection. 2 basic questions. What do you want your life to be known for? How will you spend your time this week in taking steps towards that dream? Have a great week. It's been good sharing with you. Hope I've encouraged you. See you.
What a great message from our senior pastor, and a challenging one. You know what? And jump on the comments and let us know, what are some things that you would like to be, what you'd like to be known for, what would be on your tombstone. And I love what Zach's saying about how he's going to spend his time. I think I'm definitely guilty of that, and a lot of us are, spending too much time on our phones and not in the presence of people. And so, wow, good on you, Zach, and I take encouragement for that. But what am I going to do this week? Well, I was just reflecting on wanting to just connect with people better. I spend a lot of my time behind a computer, and that's great because I need to do a lot of stuff behind a computer. But what I think is so important is just that connection with people. Dylan had a really good one. He was saying how he wants people to know that he believed in them or he cared for them. So jump in. I want to listen to more uplifting podcasts rather than just random ones from Zach Streifan. Great. What a great way to spend your time. You know, we have only, like Louise is saying, a certain amount of time to receive things, and so it's really important to, I suppose, filter what it is that we listen to, filter the voices that are coming in. Fantastic. We're gonna hang around for a little bit after church though. We're gonna stay on the comments and have a chat, and it'll be cool to see some more people sharing what they're going to be doing and what they would like maybe to say on their tombstones. But church, we love you guys. We love hanging out with you. But make sure you jump on and fill out that survey. Very soon you'll be getting sent a text with a link to that survey. We really, really, really want to know what you think about what's going on and moving forward. We don't want to do it in isolation. We want to do it with you. So please help us sort of wade through the different opinions, because we want to do what our community wants and what you guys want. And so you should be getting a text very soon. But you can stay on for a bit and chat. But first, let's just pray and we'll close out our service. God, we just thank you that we have all been given the same amount of time, and that you have really specific ways that we can spend our time, and that there's just things that we need to prioritize. And God, I pray that you would show our hearts, you would show our minds the things that we need to be prioritizing in our life. And I pray that you take away the temptations of all the things that we waste our time with that really aren't that important. So today, God, I pray that we could focus on you, we could focus on the people that we love and the things that it is that we are supposed to be doing. Thank you for Church Online, God. Thank you that we can still connect with one another and connect with your word and what you teach us. We love you, and keep us safe, and we'll see you next week. Jump online, tell us what you're doing. It'll be great to have a little chat, and we'll see you guys soon. Don't forget the survey.